Well, hello and welcome to today's episode of the Power of Your Mind podcast. You are listening to episode number 265. I'm Victoria Gallagher, Law of Attraction hypnotist and #1 best-selling author of Practical Law of Attraction. Align yourself with the manifesting conditions and successfully attract your desires. And I'm also the founder of HipTalk.com and HypnoCloud, soon to be Believe apps, which gives you access to over 500, soon to be 1,000 hypnosis recordings right in the palm of your hand. So be sure to download one of those two apps from the app stores. Might be already there by the time this podcast airs. So today we have a very special, actually repeat guest, which is saying a lot because I rarely have guests on my show these days, and just to have a guest a second time is pretty amazing. So we have Mike Murphy, who is a fellow best-selling author, course creator, passionate philanthropist. Mike is on a mission to help people to achieve their dreams, manifest their deepest desires. He's drawing from his own experience as at one point broke, desperate, divorced, alcoholic young man who became a very wealthy businessman, a loving husband and father, and Mike knows what it takes to achieve success. In addition to writing his best-selling books, such as The Creation Frequency, which is what we talked about last time, Love Unfiltered, and Living in Color, Mike has created two courses, The Creation Frequency and The Power of an Intention The Power of an Intention Will Change Your Life. He is also the founder of the Love from Margot Foundation, which he started in 2012 in honor of his late wife, Margot Murphy, who battled cancer. Currently, Mike is building a center in Medellin, Colombia called Mountains of Hope. And this center will be dedicated to retreats that will help people all over the world unleash their inner power, heal, and create the lives you love. And he can be found on Love Unfiltered, The Creation Frequency, Living in Color. All his books and everything, all the links to that will be in our show notes. And he also recently launched a podcast, which we talked about previously. So today, let me just go ahead and bring Mike on. He is going to be sharing some of his insights on tuning into, I should say, the vibrational field, the power of intention and emotion. And so I'm really excited to dive into this fascinating topic. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Victoria. Great to be back. Thank you.
Yes, it's great to have you back. Things have definitely evolved since the last time you were here. You have been on more of a mission than even ever before with your latest books, your new podcast, your center, your healing center. This is, you've really, really grown a lot, and you were already pretty successful to begin with.
Yeah, I feel very blessed to be able to do what I'm doing. I'm inspired and motivated to help those, especially those that are struggling, which seems to be growing immensely at this time in the world right now. And I love what I'm doing. I feel very fortunate and grateful to be able to do it. We want to help as many people as we can, and that's it.
Well, you definitely are on a mission. How did you, just kind of, for a refresher for people who, never, for people who haven't experienced you before on any of my podcast episodes, tell us just a little bit about how you got from there to here.
So I grew up in an alcoholic home. When my father was the alcoholic, but he grew up with two alcoholic parents. So he was really he didn't have access to his heart. He didn't know how to experience love and to give love. And so that made a very difficult childhood because my mother was saintly when he wasn't around. So he would travel every other week. So when he was gone, You know, I was the man, I was the oldest of five, so I was the man of the house. My mother loved me. I was definitely the favorite. And so I had a perfect existence. And then my dad would come home and she would pick him up at the airport Friday night. They drink all night Friday. They'd be hungover Saturday, drink again Saturday, drink again Sunday. And if he was home, when he was out of town, we'd have dinner every night at 6. When he was home, we have dinner every night at 9 because he'd get home and drink martinis with my mom. So not only did I go from this idyllic week of it being a kid and felt very secure and whole, going to being a non-entity, right? And so it was a very difficult childhood. I screwed up my nervous system, I'm sure, early programming. So when I was 14 years old in the 9th grade, I was at some people's house and the kids were all playing it. I go, something's wrong here. I got to go. And so I got on a bus the next day in downtown Cincinnati, and I got off 100 miles south in Lexington, Kentucky with $5 in my pocket and started hitchhiking. And so I became a habitual runaway, juvenile delinquent, arrested a bunch of times, a real troublemaker. And then I find myself, I got married. I found some lady dumb enough to marry me when I was 21. we had a baby when I was 23. And I walked out of her when that baby was, I ran away when that baby was 2 months old because I was living with her family. She's the oldest of 6. So I'm living with her parents, her 5 siblings, my 2-month-old baby.
Oh my God.
And I go in, it's Sunday, I'll never forget, Sunday afternoon, 5 o'clock. I go in the bathroom, I look in the mirror, I go, dude, you are a total loser. I didn't have a job, I didn't have any money, I was drinking, I just total loser, right? No hope. And that didn't really bother me that much. But what bothered me is everybody in that house knew I was a loser. So I felt this shame and humiliation. I didn't even own a car. I took all my clothes, put it in one of their old cars and took off, went and partied for a week. Call her up a week later, say, okay, I'm ready to come home now. Oh no, she wasn't like my parents. I wasn't the prodigal son with her. So I ended up on the church where we literally got married a few years earlier. And I said, okay, God, if you exist, which I don't believe, then you can manifest into a physical entity. You can sit on these steps with me. I can talk to you. I can touch you. I can believe in you, and I can change my life. So God showed up. No, and so, but the next day, by the grace of God, I ended up in a 12-step program. And for the first time, I felt a little hope. But I still couldn't stay sober off drugs because I was in such emotional pain because I wanted my family back. Right. And so I find myself in a 12-step program a couple of years after this, still a mess. You know, I've gone from a daily alcoholic drug user to a binge alcohol, you know, so I would function and then party and then find my way again. Right. But it was a nightmare of a life. And this woman hated my guts. Right. And so this guy in a 12-step program, he says, man, your life is a mess, but I know somebody might be able to help you. And he introduces me to this man who I didn't know at the time was studying Silva mind control. So he taught me this process that I talk about in my book, The Creation Frequency. And he said, Mike, you come here 1 hour a week for 7 weeks. I promise you'll get everything you want in your life. Now, this guy didn't have a nice house. He didn't have nice furniture. He didn't have nice clothes, but I was so desperate. And then he said the killer statement was it was $50 an hour. And I didn't have 50 cents. But I said, I was so desperate. I said, I'm coming. I'll do it. Let's go. And he said, listen, we're going to break your life up into 6 areas so you create a balanced life. So family and job and money and contribution and all that kind of stuff, right? And then he said something very important. He said, there's no difference between imagination and reality. What you can imagine, you can create, right? Okay. So he goes, what do you want most in your life? I go, I want my wife and my daughter back, but she hates my guts and she won't even talk to me. He goes, let's write a powerful intention as if it already exists. So I start writing. Lisa and I are still happily married. Our daughter, Michelle, thrives in this marriage. About a paragraph or two, right? And I'm feeling kind of strange, like, whoa. But all of a sudden, I got a little bit of hope. So I kept writing. What do you want next week? I want to own my own business. Next week, I want to make 10 grand a month. Next week, I want to own my own house. Next week, I want to run a marathon. Next week, he said, it has to be a contribution goal. I go, okay, my dad was a troubled youth. I'm a troubled youth. I'm going to create a home for boys. Long story short, within 4 months, I own my own business. 2 years later, she calls me up and asks me out on a date. We get remarried, have 3 more kids. All this stuff happened, right? So what I tell everybody, I want you to think of one thing in your physical reality that didn't start as a thought and a desire, because that's where it all starts. And then we manifest it. That's the law of attraction. We make it so woo-woo and so crazy. And the one thing I think that causes is one of the best books ever written called Think and Grow Rich, but it does a lot of damage because you just can't think and grow rich. You got to get off the couch and go do something, right? You have to think to manifest the plan, but then you got to take action.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Well, what an amazing story. I mean, that is quite a comeback that you made from all those crazy challenges. Most people, unfortunately, wouldn't have had the kind of insight that you had, but we're here to, help people to manifest their dreams and tell and explain to them, you might be in the lowest of low places, and all it takes is tapping into the power of your imagination. You and I definitely speak the same language. I mean, because you can't just imagine it. You do actually have to, get your physical, we're physical beings on this physical planet. And so we have to physically manifest things as on a physical level.
Victoria, we're living in two worlds. Okay. There's the spiritual world. Right here is the field of infinite possibilities that we can't see, feel, or touch. But I know one thing, when I pick up this phone and I text you and you get it in less than a second, it's traveling through this field of infinite possibilities. Tesla called it plasma. The Indians call it prana. The Chinese call it chi. But it's real energy, and we need to tap into that, and then we can bring it from there to here and become whole and complete and live the life of our dreams.
Yes, absolutely. Well, as a hypnotherapist, as you know, I've studied a lot of, conscious, subconscious mind. You talk a lot about the subconscious mind. So I'd love to have you kind of like dive in a little bit and talk about how this plays into manifesting.
I forgot the most important thing of what this man taught me. So I'm there 6 weeks, and now I have 6 intentions, 1 or 2 paragraphs handwritten on a white piece of paper. Week 7 is the magic sauce, secret sauce. He brings out, now you're a lot younger than me, but he brings out a boom box. You may remember what that is.
Of course I do.
that's what we used to listen to.
I
might look young. before all this streaming, that's how we listen to music, right? He puts a boom box
cassette
on
tapes.
He puts in a cassette tape, and on the cassette tape is theta brainwave music, right?
Yeah.
He says, listen, I'm going to play this theta brainwave music, and he hands me a tape microphone attached to a tape recorder, and he puts in a blank tape. And then he hands me a relaxation script, which you're familiar with, where you type relief. And then he goes, so as I play the music, you're going to read the relaxation script, about 2 pages, and you're going to read your 6 intentions. Boom. I do it. And now I have a cassette tape with puts me in a self-hypnotic trance. I learned later that's what he was doing, with 6 intentions. I leave there with the cassette tape, $350 poor. And he says, Mike, you have to listen every morning when you first awake, because you're coming from delta into theta. That's when I want you to listen to it. And listen every morning, every night before you fall asleep, because you're going from beta to alpha to theta. And I said, I didn't understand any of this back then, right? I just did I was just a dumb kid who was desperate, following directions. What I know now is he was putting me I was putting myself in a self-hypnotic trance with the theta brainwave and the relaxation script. Now those intentions are able to pierce the conscious mind into the subconscious, as you know, where all the power is. Right now, your subconscious mind, my subconscious mind, anybody listening to this is taking in over 1 million bits of information every second, if not more. Then it delivers 40 bits of information to my conscious mind, because that's all the conscious mind can handle. So how does it determine out of 1 million bits of information which 40 to give me? And it doesn't judge. So it's going to give me whatever it thinks I'm asking for. So if I walk around all day, I'm fat, I'm ugly, I'm lazy, I'm a loser, nothing ever goes right. This subconscious mind, this supercomputer, is looking for 40 bits of information to reinforce that belief system that I have. Once I change that, now I have the supercomputer looking for things to fulfill my dreams. It's I don't want to say it's magical, but it's just the way this system works. So we need to use this, but we never taught this. I was lucky that this man taught it to me as a 24-year-old kid, right? Otherwise, who knows where I would be right now? So everybody is doing this. They just don't do it consciously. And that's what you and I need to teach them.
Yes, absolutely. And yeah, that is where the magic is. That's where a lot of people, they don't really understand the law of attraction, because or manifesting, because they say that they make their intentions, but then they don't get that intention deep into the subconscious mind to
And then
where,
they give up, and they give up quickly.
yeah. And then they give up.
We,
Absolutely.
I, I say we live in the microwave society. Okay. Instead of, used to take 2-3 hours to cook dinner. Okay. Now we have it delivered, frozen. We stick it in the microwave. It's not good for us. And we eat it in 2 minutes while we're watching TV. I mean, we want everything now. When you plant an acorn, you're going to wait for that oak tree to come out of the ground. That's the way nature works. And we have to realize that. Now we can manifest quicker. The higher the emotion that we attach to the intention, like love and gratitude and contribution, then we will attract it faster back to us because it's a higher frequency purpose, love being the highest.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, and it's so true. I mean, everything is just getting faster and faster.
Oh,
I mean,
goodness.
now with AI, oh my God, I don't know
Oh,
if you've
oh,
done
oh,
anything with Chat GPT.
oh my God.
It's
Don't
like,
get me going. Don't get me going. Pretty soon, pretty soon, 5 years from now, you're gonna be a bot. I'm gonna be a bot, and ChatGPT is botting each other.
right? Pretty much. Pretty much. So let's talk a little bit. What you talked about, how we can actually turn this up. We can speed things up
Yeah.
on our manifestations, because I'm sure that out of everything, like, people's minds right now are geared to, listening, hearing the key word of fast. Oh, you can give it to me faster, quicker.
Right.
Let's figure out how can we tune into this vibrational field, which I'm sure that's ultimately how we're going to be able to speed things up. So how do people do that?
Well, a couple ways. I'm doing it right now. I'm manifesting a big project, right? So I'm right in the middle of this creation frequency formula. And so a couple things. One, we have to keep our physical energy up, all right? So that means we need to have good nutrition. We need to exercise and move. We need to breathe deep, and we need to sleep well. And so because the higher my body, my cells, when the 50 trillion cells that create this human body, the healthier they are, the faster they're vibrating, the faster their frequency. And that, by the way, they're 50 trillion individual living conscious cells that hear everything I think, hear everything I say, feel everything I feel. So when they're happy and functioning at a great, then my frequency is vibrating, and then it's easier to access this field of infinite possibility from a physical standpoint. The other thing is I got to understand how this works. So many of us, we wire these neural pathways that lead to bad habits, right? And it's very hard. It's like a grave. It's like a rut. We can't get out of it, right? So we need to learn to create new patterns in neural pathways, that we get these cells wiring and firing it together for what we want, not what we don't want. So we need to understand how this works. Then my biggest thing is, I think everybody's going to take this journey at some point in their life. It's a very short physical journey, but it's the hardest journey we ever take. And most people take it in that last breath. And that's moving from here, the insane asylum, into here. What do I mean? If I live here, this is a nut place, okay? It criticizes everything, it judges everything. It can lie to you, it can steal from you, it can cheat you, it can manipulate you. My heart can't do any of that stuff. So when I live from here, I can't lie to you, I can't cheat from you, I'm living here, which is my true essence, my soul, my consciousness, me, the real me, not the 50 trillion cells, not the thoughts. Where do thoughts come from? Okay. The real me. Okay. The eternal timeless consciousness me, the soul of me. I live here. Now I use this supercomputer to create the plan to manifest what I truly want. And I understand how to access the subconscious mind. And then I also understand how to slow down these brain waves if they get out of control. And so I can calm myself down. I can regulate myself. So many people right now are depressed. So many people are full of anxiety, right? Because they can't regulate this because they live here. Once you move here, everything slows down. So we move into the body and the heart. we open this heart. That's the other thing, is we got to learn. Most of us, as the older we get, we close, we contract. And I don't think we die. I think we dry up. We dry up our juice, our emotional juice, right? And this is full of fear, and this we contract. And so once we move here and we start living here, and now we start opening it and trusting it again. We trusted it as a kid. And then everybody said, no, right? And so we contract, right? So move here, open it. Don't be afraid. There's nothing to be afraid of, because you're energy, and energy can't be created, nor can it be destroyed. And that's all that's going on here. Tesla said, if you want to understand the universe, you have to understand energy, vibration, and frequency. When you get that down, then it's easy to navigate. It's easier. Life is still difficult. Don't get me wrong. So don't, hey, listen, I got as many challenges as anybody else. Okay. And more importantly, because I'm an empath, I feel the collective consciousness more. And believe me, it's a heavy feeling right now. I can control my own personal consciousness, and so can you. But this collective consciousness, why do we wake up sad some days? Why do we get sad? There's a whole collective consciousness, and this was proven in 9/11. I mean, the whole emotional world just went boom, and they measured. So this is real stuff, folks. But once you learn it, knowledge is power. And the problem is, and I see the world, the governments and everybody wants to make us victims. And when you're a victim, you have no power. And so, listen, I always say, listen, we either all of us are victims or none of us are victims. So it doesn't matter, right? So I prefer to call myself a creator, and I'm here to create what I came here to create, which is my purpose. So we need to find our purpose, raise our energy and our vibration, and then go about doing that. And we have different purposes. When I'm a young man, my purpose was to raise my children and create a career and to do that, right? Now I'm an old man. So Carnegie said you spend the first half of your life making money so you can give it away the second half. That's my stage of life right now. So, and if we all did that, if everybody thought like this, boom, there's 7 billion people, they say. If 3.5 billion would raise someone up less fortunate, the whole consciousness shifts and all this craziness disappears. There wouldn't be room for it to exist. And that's my message, is let's get together as a community again, and responsibility and integrity, and let's fix this mess. We can do it, but we have to do it with love and visualization and energy. They got all the guns, they got all the money, they got all the power. That's good for them. Okay. But we have something they don't have. We have access to the creator. We have access to truth. And that's, if we can unite that way, it all shifts.
Yes, that makes so much sense. And I totally believe in that theory, the concept of, the mass consciousness, like really affecting things. And I mean, I think, that's what sort of created a little bit of the downward spiral that we got into, back when the pandemic hit, and that kind of like led to this thing. And then that led to this thing, because we've just been in this like kind of negative state. And, it's like at some point we do. And you mentioned two of my favorite words when it comes to manifesting, which are integrity and personal responsibility, and the recognition and the awareness that, they might be trying to turn us into victims. We can't let that happen. We've got to take responsibility. We got to take ownership. And it starts with, it's making that move, you say, from, your head into your heart. So take us through just like what would a person do? Like, how do they make that habit, for themselves of, taking that journey to making sure that they do that? Like, one of the things I find, because I make these amazing, hypnosis programs, but it's like just getting people, it's like going to the gym. Like half the battle is just getting there, right? And, you make so much sense. Everything that you say, I 100%, but it's like, help instill that, like, how do you get that person to make that mental shift every day?
You hit the number one problem as I see it, is getting people to care about themselves. Okay. Somehow from this beautiful, perfect child that's born, somehow we lose our self-esteem, as we go through life. And, it depends who you're born to, but odds are you're not born to two complete whole human beings as parents, right? There's usually a lot of dysfunction for most of us, and it's heavy duty programming. You're a hypnotist, you understand this. When those from birth to age 8, you're a sponge. You're in theta. You're just absorbing, and that's how you learn. That's why we can learn multiple languages as a kid. And who do we learn from? Who's our gods? Our two parents. So if they've got issues, even in the womb, we're getting impacted. So there's a lot going in our central nervous system. And so when we're put in an environment where there's a lot of drama and there's a lot of shame and there's a lot of humiliation, our central nervous system gets rewired. And now we get addicted to that feeling. Okay. It's a feeling. We don't even know it because we're living here with fear, and the brain releases these chemicals going to the body, which creates the anxiety. We need to learn. It's knowledge. If you sit down and you teach someone this, they have to be willing. See, the problem is most of us become, as we get older, as I said, we contract, we close our mind. For some reason, we think we know everything. Every day I get smarter and smarter, but I realize I don't know anything. Truly, I really don't know anything. I mean, this could be all computer simulation is all I learned. I mean, I'm looking forward to taking that last breath to figure out what the heck's been going on the last 65 years. But, but I think getting people to care. And so I deal a lot with addicts and alcoholics and people that are depressed. And they say you got to hit bottom. Well, I don't want them to hit bottom. Bottom hurts. Okay. So how do we get them to break free and care? So what do we have to find? We have to find something that makes them want to step late at night, that fills their heart and soul, and makes them want to wake up early and fills their heart and soul. So we got to find that purpose, or help them find that purpose. Say, hey, you're fat and you need to lose weight. That does no good whatsoever. Okay?
Right.
So, what can I do to help you feel good? Right? What does everybody want to do? They want to feel good physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. How can I help you to feel good? And let's start there. And we're going to have a lot of work to do. You're a coach, you understand, it's work because we get so far off the road, and we got to find our way back. And we need help. You need help. I need help. We all need help. And that's what we're missing. Now it's all social media. Everybody has a podcast. Everybody's a coach. Everybody's an influencer. And who's doing something? You know what I mean?
I know. I kind of thought about that the other day because it's like, I had a coach, who helped me to become a better coach, and I'm helping people to become better coaches who are helping others to become better coaches. Like, who are we actually coaching at the bottom of this, pyramid? It's like a pyramid.
but that would all be great if I saw the world going in a better direction.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So what do we have to do to take humanity up to a higher level of consciousness and get us out of this mess that we're in, right? Heck, we don't have real food anymore. The water's contaminated. So, I'll never forget this. I'm 65. So it was sometime in the 60s. I'm a young kid, right? And I saw a pharmaceutical executive being interviewed on television. And he said, our goal in the pharmacy industry, it's a business, is to have every American on at least 5 medications. Well, I think they've done a pretty good. That was in the 60s. I heard this man say that.
That is scary.
And they've done a damn good job getting there, right? So there's a lot we need to look at. So I really think, Victoria, that things are shifting. What I feel is we're going from a masculine energy, and I think it happens every 26,000 years. I could be wrong, but we're going from a masculine energy. And I think the shift started December 21st, 2012, the end of the Mayan calendar. And we're going to a feminine energy. What does that mean? What's a masculine energy? Domination, penetration, power, control. Okay. That system's that's being disintegrated right now. And what's evolving? Feminine energy, which is what? Nurturing, openness, love. So these people are fighting like heck to stay in power, but you can't stop this. This is nature. This is God. This is essence. This is who we are. So you're not going to stop this. The question is, how much pain and suffering is going to, we make this shift, and the apocalypse, all it means is a lifting of the veil. So what's happening right now is we're seeing the truth more, a lot of us, and at the same time this new consciousness is arising, but they're fighting like hell. So I think it's going to have a happy ending, but we might have some rough years ahead of us.
Yeah, I I definitely agree with that. I feel like what you're saying is true, and I can definitely see that shift in so many different ways. And so, I guess the question is that, you got to either shift now
Right.
or you got to kind of like go kicking and screaming one way or another.
Yeah.
One way or
Exactly.
another, you're gonna go. And I'd say to the pharmaceutical companies that wanted people on 5 different kinds of medications, well, I want people on 5 different kinds of meditations.
Yes. Amen. Hey, let me ask you, what kind of meditation do you do?
So I do most frequently I do Vipassana.
Okay.
Are you
Which is
familiar with
what?
that?
No,
Yeah.
tell me.
So Vipassana is it's an insight meditation where all you do is you're just being with the like energy of like your breathing, your
Yeah.
awareness. You're not trying to force the breathing or anything. You're just getting insight into what is. And it's a detachment state where, like you might feel a little pain if you're doing it for X amount of time, but
Right.
you just you be with it. You don't try to do anything with it. You just insight. And so that's the Vipassana. I don't know if I have the exact definition of it, but that's
But
what I do
but
most
I got the
frequently.
picture. So
Yeah.
so it's really just focusing on the breath. What do you do with thoughts?
You don't think about the thoughts. So like when you're learning how to do Vipassana, which that you go through a 10-day silent meditation treat where you
Oh,
meditate for 10 hours a day.
wow.
You get up at 4:30 and you meditate, and you have sits for a couple of hours at a time, and then you have your meal breaks, but it's completely silent, no talking, no holding doors, no eye contact, no nothing. And and they take you each day is like kind of a graduation of it. And so day 1 is like literally you're just focusing on the inside of your nostrils.
Oh, wow.
That is like you have to like just get it into that direct of a
Wow.
focus. And every
Wow.
time you think about anything, you just bring your focus right back there. And over time, you do begin to expand the energy through your whole body, but you're
It's
not,
all energy. Yeah.
yeah. And you're not trying to bring a sensation about, you're just becoming aware of what already is.
Yeah. So I'm more of a Dr. Joe Dispenza guided meditation guy, which
Yep.
I love, right? But I also like brain entrainment where the left and the right brain, you're
Yeah.
training, it's just frequency. So,
Hmm.
but I got to tell you, most of my life I've not been a big meditator. I understood it. I'm a big Wayne Dyer fan. I love it.
Yep.
Deepak, but for me, I just, have such a big mind. But since I've been doing this, Dr. Joe, I meditate as much as a couple hours every day and as long as 4 hours some days.
Hmm.
And it's such a profound effect that I can't believe I ignored this for so many years. Like you just said, my saying is meditate, don't medicate, right?
Hmm.
And so it's so powerful. So,
It
for
is.
everybody listening out there, and there's a million ways to do it. And go to YouTube, go to Google. I mean, geez, it goes on and on. And
Go
find
to
out
my
what,
app.
go to your app. What is the
Yeah.
name of your app, by the way?
Yeah, so the existing app right now is called HypnoCloud, but as many of my listeners know, I've been painstakingly creating and developing a new app called Believe, which by the time this airs may already be out. It's hard to say, but and that's the second half of that. So I do meditate, but of course, being a hypnotist, I also strongly believe and encourage guided hypnosis, self-hypnosis, meditation. The meditation is really to empty the mind, and
Yeah.
and it's like being open to receiving anything everything
Yeah.
from your intuition, but then the hypnosis is really more programming the mind for very specific intentions and
Yeah.
desires.
Powerful.
Yeah. So
You know what?
tell me a little, go ahead.
No, you ask that first because I think we're on the same page.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about your, your three keys
Yeah.
to manifestation that absolutely need to be embodied for effective co-creation.
Well, one, you got to have an intention, right?
Mhm.
And someone asked me the other day, said, Mike, how specific should I be in my intention? I said, be as specific as you can, but be flexible. Okay. So, because if you're looking for a mate, for example, it has to have blonde hair and it has to be 6'1" and blah, blah, blah. Okay. That's a great intention. Write it. But then realize, hey, you're co-creating with the creator of all, which I call God, and it might be a brunette and it might be 6'8" and whatever. So be specific, but be
Mhm.
open to whatever shows up is very, very important. So you have to start with that intention, right? And then, like I said earlier, most people give up. There's a book called 3 Feet from Gold.
Oh,
My
yeah.
friend Greg Reed wrote it, and people give up before the miracle. And I see this time and time and time again, and I don't know why that is, but I guess human nature, patience, right? And so get your intention, be specific, be consistent. And of course, in my place, we've created an app, and I could talk to you about that pain in the neck if you want. and so we've embedded it. So I've already created an app. It's embedded with theta brainwave music. You don't need the boombox. You don't need the cassette tape. It's a tape recorder. You record your own relaxation script in your own voice. We give you the script, and then
Ooh.
you record your intentions. You listen every morning, every night, and be flexible and see what shows up, because miracles start to happen. Synchronicity, all about it. All of a sudden, the right teacher shows up, the right funding shows up, the right idea shows up, the right person shows up, the right book shows up, the right meditation shows up. But because we all we're doing, they call them goals. When I was younger, Zig Ziglar and all that, it was goals, right?
Mhm.
And most of us, we create New Year's resolution, and by January 15, we've forgotten all about it, right? So the power of intentions, and then recording it in your own voice, and then listening every morning, every night, then we're activating the reticular activating system, which is then the mind. And so now the mind is looking for all this. The subconscious is looking for all this. The cells are vibrating at a higher frequency because all my intentions come around love and gratitude and contribution. So boom, the whole system is now working to create and manifest what I truly desire.
Love it. And I have to check out your app because I will take personal responsibility for manifesting that. I
Please.
had that idea. I have not acted on it, but I had that idea. I
Well,
love it. I love it.
give your clients my app. It's free.
Yeah.
But more importantly, as a hypnotist and someone in this same field, I want to know your opinion of it, because here's the deal. And I don't tell you this. Every 6 months, Apple's got new requirements, Google's got
Yep.
new requirements, and
Mhm.
now the whole thing gets sketchy, and I got to redo it, and it's
Yep.
expensive, and it's driving me nuts.
Yeah, no, trust me. I've been in the development of this Believe app for it. It was supposed to be done in July of 2022. So
I can't believe you still got any money left.
well, luckily I made a pretty good deal with them that
Oh,
it was
okay,
a set amount, so they're
okay,
paying the price
okay,
for that.
okay.
Uh, but I totally agree with you that saying things in your own voice. Your voice is
Yeah,
the biggest authority that there is.
yeah,
Whatever you say in your own voice is 10 times more powerful than anything I could say in my voice. So,
yeah,
it's, now, of course, not everybody, wants to take the time to do that. And then that's where you have, the guided, meditations
yeah.
are also just as wonderful. So, I understand also that you have a free training that you're giving to our
Yes.
audience
Yeah.
on how to manifest anything you want in your
Yeah.
life.
So all they have to do is go to mikemurphyunfiltered.com/gift, and we will send it to them. So
Oh,
they just put in their name and their email, and we'll send it to them.
Mike
Mike
Murphy
Unfiltered,
Unfiltered.
unfiltered.com/gift.
And you're just going to send it to them.
Yes, we'll
That
email it to right away.
that is, oh, that's awesome. That
Yeah.
sounds
And let me
amazing.
give because you were talking to the power of your voice, right? I just give a little advertising for my
Yeah.
podcast, which is called The Power of Your Voice. So
I love it.
you
The
brought
power of
it
your
up.
voice. I'm the power of your mind. You're the power of your
Okay.
voice. What a great team.
Where are you, by the way?
I am in Phoenix, Arizona. How about you?
I'm in Medellin, Colombia, but I also live in Palm Springs. So
Oh, okay.
very,
All
very
right.
familiar with Phoenix, Scott. In fact, when the pandemic hit and we couldn't golf in California, I went to Scottsdale, and that's where we golfed for 4 days. You know,
Yeah.
there's that where they play the tournament. There's that huge hotel there, 1,500 rooms.
Yes.
Okay, me and 3 other people are staying there. 4 rooms out of 1,500 during the pandemic.
Oh my goodness.
It was crazy.
Yeah, it definitely had its advantages being here in
Yeah, you guys were
Arizona.
much more open than anywhere else. Yeah.
We were.
Yeah.
Love it. I loved it. I mean, I didn't love that there was a pandemic, but it
Right,
was
right.
nice just to, it was nice to be
Freedom.
here.
Yeah.
Definitely nice to be here. So, well, any final last things, any tips that you'd like to leave our
Sure.
listeners with? You've already given so much
Well,
amazing information. This has really been powerful.
yeah, let me just share. How 2 minutes, okay?
Sure.
I just want to share this amazing, beautiful healing retreat center that we're building here. Our first
Yeah.
retreat is in September. It's called Mountains of Hope. So if your listeners want to know more, mountainsofhope.com. The first week is a physical detox. We use enzymes. Most enzymes are 2 or 3 months old that grow. Ours grow for 3 years while Tibetan music is playing. We totally clean the colon, the intestines the first day. Then we set you up the next 4 or 5 days preparing for a liver gallbladder flush where all these stones come out of you. And then
Oh,
we
wow.
anchor that first week with a sweat lodge ceremony. So it's very, very physical detox. At the same time, we're giving you IVs of vitamins, minerals, and stuff like that. We're giving you coffee enemas, infrared saunas, cold water plunges. We're building it's a 5-star thing, 7,000 feet in the Andes Mountains, 15 minutes from the Medellin airport. Second week, we move into energy work. So I teach my process of creation frequency. I teach some Dr. Joe Dispenza meditation stuff and the way he teaches manifestation. I teach some Byron Katie stuff of how to clear out emotional wounds. I love the work of Dr. Bruce Lipton, understanding consciousness. So we go into that kind of work, and we do use some plant medicines and some ceremonies, some more sweat lodge ceremonies, a lot of pray, open heart ceremonies, chanting. So we're bringing in the metaphysical, the spiritual for that second week. So what's really cool is before they arrive, we test their microbiome, we test some genetic markers, blood work, and heavy metals. Then after the physical detox, we test again. So we have a base. Now let's see after 7 days of physical detox, what happened to all this? Then after 7 more days of energy work, what happened to the blood and the microbiome and all that. So I'm super excited about collecting this data. But more importantly, I lost my wife. She was 38 after a 9-year battle with breast cancer. Then I started a nonprofit foundation working with women below the poverty line while they battle cancer. The stories, what I've seen, you wouldn't believe if I told you. And so what I learned through all this is that there might be a better system. And what I mean by that is I believe that we have the power within to heal ourselves. If we clean up the body, we clean up the mind, we clean up the heart, and we have a spiritual awakening, that I believe that we have, for me, is my belief that we can heal ourselves. So that's what we're trying to teach people. And if nothing else, we're going to strengthen every aspect of their life. We call it transformation that lasts. We're going to give you this amazing experience, but we want you to take it home, and we want it to become your new lifestyle. Dr. Joe says, if you want to change your personal reality, you need to change your personality. So in my mind, you show up day one, person A, and you leave 16 days later, person Z, with a whole new bright future in front of you. So mountainsofhope.com.
Great. That's the ticket right there. That sounds like that will get you, totally cleaned out,
Yeah,
mind,
for
body, and
sure.
spirit.
Yeah, yeah,
And
literally.
I've been just on the infrared sauna stuff. I actually
Ah,
started doing this new exercise called Hot Works.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
are
I'm
you
familiar
familiar
with
with
it.
it?
Yeah. Huh?
Yeah, and I did that because I'm kind of dealing with I was going to Orange Theory, and I've
Yeah,
been dealing with
very
a
good.
little bit of an injury. I guess I'm maybe not supposed to run. I don't know.
Yeah,
But just instead of just laying around and not doing anything, I started doing the hot works, and
good. How is it?
like, oh my God, my skin, for one, I'm just like noticing like my skin is
Tough.
so
Yeah.
soft and smooth. And I'm just like my body is just toning up like quicker than anything else.
Wow.
And I am loving it. I am just, but I'm an old Bikram yoga,
But
you
me
know.
too. I,
Yeah.
I I had no prior to the pandemic. I had two of them. I built one here in Colombia.
Oh, you
And
had them.
I had one here. I had one in San Ramon, California, Northern California. I love Bikram yoga. And so we are at Mountains of Hope. So I had to close my Bikram yoga studio here. So we took all the equipment up to our yoga studio at the retreat center. So we'll have Bikram yoga there as well.
Oh, that's great. That is great. Wow. Well, we have so much in common. This has been such a fun interview. I'm so glad that I got to, have you on again. And so thank you so much for all the information. And make sure you guys to go and sign up for the free training on how to manifest anything you want by going to mikemurphyunfiltered.com/gift. And thank you guys so much for listening and tuning in to the Power of Your Mind podcast.